Welcome back to my channel, everybody. The other day I had my Boxster outside. It was beautiful. It was 80 degrees. It was sunny. I had the top down. I had my shades on, and for the first time in my life I actually felt like I was cool. And then the check engine light came on. The only rider is not a professional mechanic and is not responsible for any personal injury or vehicle damage that may result from individuals attempting the repair shown in this video. You have been warned. Try at your own risk. So I got out my trusty handy dandy scanner tool and I hooked it up to the car, and I got a code P0492, or secondary air injection system, bank number 2. You might be wondering, what in the world is an air injection system? So basically it's the same thing as a pair system in a motorcycle, and I've talked a little bit about that before in my other videos. There is a hose running from the air cleaner box into a valve that is vacuum operated that shoots that air from the air box into the head of the engine and through the exhaust headers and down through the exhaust system of the bike. That extra air helps to burn off the exhaust gases and make them a little bit cleaner when they come out the tailpipe. Well, cars pretty much have the same kind of system, except a little bit more complicated. Now, after researching online, I found that there are a couple of things that can cause that code, but two of the most common that I found is a vacuum leak in the vacuum system or an issue with the air pump. So we're going to check both of those. So first, we have to raise the soft top and get access to the engine. Now, if you have a later model 986 like I do, this is a 2004, this is actually the last year of the 986, you are going to have a glass window, and folding this up is a little bit trickier with a glass window because you can't just fold it in half like the older Boxsters. So you have to be a little bit more specific with exactly how far up you raise the soft top in order to get this window to fold down in like that. Turn the key on in the ignition. Make sure your e-brake is on. Press and pull the latch all the way open. Now raise the soft top. Now the distance that works the best for me is about 17 inches from the windshield frame, or 43 centimeters. Now go ahead and take the key out of the ignition so you don't drain your battery. Now first you're going to want to push this piece here free from these plastic clips on both sides. Now when you lift the back end up, you're going to see these cables connected to these little ball joints right here. They just pop off, one on this side and one on the other side. Just get behind it with your finger and just yank on it. Now hopefully, when you lift this up, yours still has the bungee strap. If not, then you're just going to have to go out and get yourself a bungee strap that you can hook onto here and hook somewhere up there to hold this up for you. If you have the stock strap, you can just grab it, pull it around, and the best place that I have found to strap it onto is to one of these hooks here on the front of the soft top. That should keep it up out of your way. Now to release these clips, you just lift them up, spin them sideways, and they pop off. Do that for all 4 of them. You can then remove the top cover. Okay, now these latches are a little bit different than the other ones. These are actually like a screw, so you actually have to turn them a few times to get them to completely unscrew all the way off, like that. Go ahead and do that for all 5 of them. There's 2 on this side, 1 in the middle, and 2 on that side. You can now remove the bottom cover. There she is in all of her Boxster glory. Okay, now the vacuum lines for this air injection system are a little hard to point out, but I'll see if I can do my best here. So this guy right here, this little piece here has some white on it. That is the check valve for the whole vacuum system. So if you pull that off right there and put a suction gun on that and pull suction, you can check to see if you have vacuum in the whole system. Okay, you see this guy right here, this sort of like a 3-way connector? And then that little tube coming out of it, that's a vacuum line. They're really small, and that one goes down. You can see there's another 3-way connector right there, and then that big guy right there, that is a vacuum canister. That can also spring a leak as well. So the easiest way is going to be to just take this check valve off right here and pull vacuum and see if we can find the leak. Now that guy literally just pops off. You just push it off with your fingers. We're going to pull it down here and get them out so that we can put our suction gun on that and pull vacuum on the system. So we're going to get our vacuum pump tool. I'm going to go ahead and put my fitting on it. I'm going to check to make sure I have vacuum in the gun, and everything here has vacuum. I'm going to put my thumb over it, and you can see we have vacuum. All right. And as you can see, the system is holding vacuum just fine, which means it's not a vacuum leak, it must be something else. Okay, so pulling vacuum on the vacuum system shows that there are no vacuum leaks anywhere in the system that I can tell. The next thing to check would be probably the pump. which this is the air pump right here. For starters, I'm going to turn on the car and make sure that the air pump is actually kicking on and working. So we're going to turn on the car, and then I'm going to be able to just turn around, reach back, and check to see if this thing is running like it's supposed to. And the pump feels like it's running. I can hear it whining too. So basically they said this thing's supposed to sound like a vacuum cleaner for the first few minutes when you start the car when it's cold. And I can hear it running. Okay, it just now kicked off. Alright, so I pulled vacuum on the vacuum system. There don't appear to be any leaks. The air pump appears to be working, so I'm not exactly sure what the problem is. There are a few more components that are further down in the motor that aren't easy to get to without tearing a bunch of stuff apart. The air pump pulls air from the air cleaner box, so maybe if the air filter is junked up a little bit, it might be inhibiting the flow to the cat converter a little bit. Probably not, but I'm going to go ahead and change it anyway. This is the filter I bought. It's K&N, which is my preferred brand, same brand I have in the Gixxer, so it is a bit more expensive. I think this one was 65 bucks, but I mean, you can find some that are like 20 or 30 bucks, but I prefer to get the good stuff. That's what it looks like. The air filter is right in there. There's these two metal clips, one on this side, one on that side. Push these metal clips over and lift up on either side, and this whole thing slides up out. So there's the stock air filter with the air filter holder, which has this slider portion on it here. The air filter itself just pulls up out. And it looks pretty junky. Just fits in there like that. Now K&N does warn that this filter is going to be a little tight fitting in the car because it's a little thicker than the OEM one, so they give you this grease along with it to go through the slider on the back of the slider and grease it all up and grease the rails and everything so that it slides in a little easier when you push it in to tighten it into the air box. And there it is, it's ready to go back in. Now if you don't understand what this slider does, if you don't know how this works, if you look at these rails down here, they're wider on this side than they are on this side. And so that is when you slide this in, it actually lifts the air filter up so that it seals against the top of the air box. And so when you pull it out, you pull this part out first, which lowers the air filter so that it can slide out. And when you go to put this in, you're not supposed to try to put it in like this, because if you do that, it's going to be too tight. You're supposed to put it back in the car like this so that it slides in nice and easy, and then when you push this down, it raises the air filter up and squishes the rubber gasket against the air box, creating an airtight seal. So you're supposed to install it in the car like this. So go ahead and get it lined up. Go ahead and slide it down in until the air filter is all the way in. Okay, like that. And then press the top down. Alright guys, we're done. We changed the air filter. I took a look at the air injection system. I couldn't find an immediate problem, so I'm going to put it back together for now. I'm going to drive it for a little while, see if the code comes back. If it comes back, then I'll revisit this and I'll put it at the end of this video. If it doesn't come back, then I'm just going to post this video showing you what I did, and hopefully it helps somebody else out. Well guys, it has been approximately 2 months since I started making this video. I've been driving the car on and off since then, and the code has not come back, so it looks like that was the problem. My air filter was clogged and it was blocking air to the air injection system. At least that's what I'm going with. Now again, there are a lot of things that can throw that code, but hopefully with this video showing you how to get to the top of the motor and a few things to look for, you can at least get the ball rolling on starting to investigate and try to find out why your car is throwing that code. Hope it helps. Catch you guys later.